and welcome to the SpeakerPath. I'm Brian Miller, founder and principal consultant at Clarity Up, and I'm here today with our presence and performance specialist, Jo. Hey, Jo.
Hey, Brian.
So we're going to do something really, really fun today. I've got a bunch of clips that I've pulled up for you to react to through the lens of presence and performance. Now, some of these are kind of TED Talks. Some of them are TED-style talks at non-TED events. Some of them are, I think I've got an interview. I've got just like a YouTuber in here. So I've got a few different things. And what we're going to do is I'm going to play each of these clips for you twice. The first time, you're going to listen with your eyes closed to the first 45 seconds or minute, and then I'm going to get your reactions. And then I'm going to let you watch the same clip that you just reacted to and tell us if there's anything different, better, worse, or otherwise, watching it. And we're going to go into these without you knowing who the speaker is in case you already know this person or if you have any baggage associated with them or expectations based on their reputation. Sound good?
Awesome. Yeah, let's go.
All right. So you will now need to close your eyes. All right. Eyes closed.
No peeking.
All right. First one coming at you.
I fell in love for the first time when I was 16. It wasn't with another person, it was with the theater. You may have heard the phrase, the acting bug. Well, I got bit particularly hard by it. From the moment of that initial discovery, I never stopped. School plays, college improv troupes, summer theater apprenticeships. Acting was my passion, my obsession, my motor, my mistress, and eventually my wife. My plan following graduate school was to be a New York stage actor who did the occasional Law and Order. But circumstances took me to Los Angeles, where when I was 29, I did a pilot for a television show called How I Met Your Mother. Until that point, I had been an intermittently successful, though relatively working actor. And then the pilot got picked up, the show went out into the world, and everything changed.
All right. So, Josh Radnor of How I Met Your Mother fame.
When he said How I Met Your Mother, I recognized his voice.
But not until then.
Not until then, oddly enough. Although I thought, hey, I've heard that that timbre somewhere, but I couldn't put my finger on it. Yeah.
So, initial impressions.
Yeah, I felt a groundedness when he starts talking. So he's got this calm about the rhythm he's going on and no nervousness. His breathing is very steady. I didn't get to hear any of those, type of things. No dry mouth. Everything went very smoothly. And I'm not surprised, right? He's an actor with hundreds of hours in front of the camera, so he would be at ease in that situation, even though a keynote can have a certain amount of pressure, even for actors, but he's clearly a pro. And there's a warmth to his voice that really nicely balances the confidence. So he's not a prick, right? He's not just an arrogant, successful actor who made it. He has this warmth, this genuine kind of human experience to what he's talking about. And the variation in rhythm that comes when he had this, I forget the words right now because I was just listening to his voice, but he made this like a kind of a set of three things and then like a surprise at the end. And he made like a really nice strategic pause there. Very, very nice. I really enjoyed listening to that.
Yeah. You said it's not shocking that he was so at ease because he's an actor. But of course, acting in front of a camera or even acting in a stage play is a different thing than a keynote. And as you'll see in a second, this is a major keynote. Okay. This is a massive.
There are no double takes. Yeah.
Right. And so I guess I was curious. Do you have any experience working with people who are trained actors? I've only a little bit in the world of entertainment.
A little with musicians rather than actors. Okay. And they're used to being on stage and saying a few words to the audience. Sometimes they need to describe part of the process, or they want to tell a little story about how some song came to be, things like that.
Yeah. All right, cool. Okay, example number 2 coming up right now. You will first, Joe, you will hear a man's voice who's asking, this is a live panel in front of an audience, this is a fireside. It's just an interview. It's a live interview in front of an audience. You'll hear a man's voice ask a question, but it's a woman who is doing the talking that you'll be listening for.
How would you define personal brand is what I would like to say.
Well, I think we're in the age of AI, right? We all know this. You guys are seeing more content being created than ever. You're seeing more jobs being outsourced to technology than ever. We invest in it every single day. And I think when I started doing content, 4 years ago online and caring about a personal brand, I was nowhere before 4 years ago. Never had filmed a video, never had done a podcast. I was a nerd in a spreadsheet in Excel. That's my happy place as an investor. I actually don't really love doing videos all the time. But I started to realize something, and that was that the ultimate differentiator that nobody sophisticated wants to acknowledge is not going to be capital, how much money that you have. And I know this because my friends at Sequoia, who are big, huge investors, they only allow nonprofits to invest now. They will not take actively many people's money. And simultaneously, the people who are building businesses now, who built these big, huge SaaS companies and these big tech companies, what are they starting to realize? It's not product that's king, it's distribution.
All right. So this is Codie Sanchez, who this was actually at the event I spoke at in Vegas just about a month ago. I was literally backstage. I was going on right after her. So this was happening. I was literally backstage while this was happening, listening to her, watching her on a monitor.
How was that for you?
It was wonderful. I mean, I'm a big fan. I mean, like anybody in the business content space, I don't agree with everything she talks about. I don't agree with all of her business philosophies, but it'd be silly if I did. But I think, I don't want to tell you anything about what I think about her as a presenter. Okay. How do you feel?
So what I heard was a lot of energy in her voice, and that's through volume. She had great volume. She was not shy to use her voice. She had different rhythm and different intonations at different segments of her answer. When she was making kind of using parallel, she goes, So she had this very, very easy, it was very easy to follow her points because of her voice, the way that she used her voice. And I didn't know who this was, but in my head, as I kind of imagined this person speaking, I could even see hand gestures and movement, because that's just how dynamic her voice came out. So really wonderful.
Yeah. Do you think, so make a prediction now, when I show you the video, do you think that her visual presence is going to match up with the audio performance that you heard?
I think so. Okay. Yeah, I expect to see some hand gestures.
Great. All right, our third and final example for today.
My name's Scott Galloway. I teach at NYU, and I appreciate your time. I have 44 slides in 720 seconds. Let's light this candle. Okay, so for those of you who don't know me, I'm actually a global television star. True story. I've had 4 TV series in the last 3 years. 2 of them have been canceled before they were launched, and 2 were canceled within 6 weeks. Let's recap.
Now, I'm going to pause for a second, because what he's about to do is actually show video montage of all of his failed performances. And so we don't even need to see that. You're welcome to open your eyes, because you know who he is. Okay. You've already heard him. We could listen to or watch some more of this, but what are your initial impressions? I mean, I know you know who this person is, and he said his name immediately.
My first reaction was, I'm missing some clarity in his pronunciation. He is talking a little bit as if he's got a potato in his mouth. And that is giving me the feeling that, on the one hand, I have to work harder to understand him. And that's not what we would advise our clients to make their audience do. And it makes me feel less trust, less confidence in this person. So as if the clarity of his speech is impacting his credibility. So that was my first reaction listening. Other than that, very, very conversational tone, a lot of humor, clearly, and very, very nice diversity in the moments when he wants to kind of make a funny point, right? When he wants to land the joke, that's really well done. The clarity in pronunciation is the one thing that kind of really captured my attention, and it was I actually had to work a bit hard to move away from that and hear other things in his voice. That's
interesting. So of course, okay, so Scott Galloway, I mean, he's tremendously successful, very famous in the podcasting space. He have massively successful. Last time he's super open about numbers. I think he said his podcast network makes $20 million a year alone, just the podcasts that they run. He's tremendously successful and open about that stuff. Do you think that I get the sense, as far as I can tell from his history, he started giving speeches and getting invited to give speeches after becoming very successful in business and not before? Do you think that folks in that situation get a pass or don't have to work as hard to work on the kind of things that we would normally have our non-famous scientists and academics working on?
Possibly. I can think of a number of other people who would fit that description as well. And they're all kind of famous podcasters. And it's true that once you are kind of an established name, you can get away with some of these, I don't even want to call them imperfections, but I don't have a better word right now, like specificities in their style, let's say. But yeah, I don't know. I must say I surprised myself a little bit at how much space this took for me, just here and now. Yeah.
Yeah. I think the conversation around this one is really when a speaker or aspiring speaker is looking for examples to follow, do they need to be careful that they're looking for examples of people who became successful through speaking versus like they got good at speaking, which is what led to their success, versus people are already famous. They're just getting hired to show up because their face sells tickets. Is that important, or is there something else going on?
Yes, definitely. I think if you're looking for role models, you would want to look for things that people do really well, not because of who they are, but because of how they do them. So if you are looking for someone who projects great power, we just saw Codie Sanchez doing a brilliant demonstration of that. Maybe if you're looking for someone to aspire to or to learn from in terms of being a little casual, I don't know that I would choose precisely Scott Galloway as a model, although, his work is absolutely undeniable. I think there are ways to do that don't make the listener really try to distinguish the words, especially if you're aiming for an international audience. I think within the U.S., and, a lot of our clients speak in the U.S. and they work in the U.S., but they may want to at some point expand. And even within the U.S., there are so many people, coming to work there or living there or doing business there from other parts of the world who might actually not engage or not have you as their first choice because it's hard to talk to you. You don't want them to have to make that effort. You want to make it as easy as possible for people to listen and as pleasant as possible for people to listen and to follow you. Yeah.
It's a really good point. I'd like to try an experiment. I skipped a little ahead. He's got like a minute's worth of jokes before he really gets into it. And so I skipped ahead past the jokes to what I think is essentially the start of the talk. Like if he were really doing what we preach, that this is where the talk would really start. He was obviously playing to the crowd and having fun at TED here. I want to see if you, just for another 20, 30 seconds here, if watching him changes, because you mentioned that potato mouth kind of thing. But I wonder if watching it or having a better sense of what to expect now changes anything about how you view him. So,
now I'm really curious to see the rest of it.
Yeah. So pull us in here for this episode. What did we learn today? What can our listeners do as they're preparing for their next presentation?
So the very, very first thing to do is to be mindful of what you're experiencing in your body physically, because that is a cue in terms of how present you are in the room on the one hand, and how well you're able to manage your internal state in order to communicate outwardly what you need to communicate. So exercises like body scans, mindful meditation, non-sleep, deep rest, types of things, all of those resources are free and available on YouTube, on Google, everywhere. Go out, look them up, try them, see what works for you so that you can get used to being physically in your body. Otherwise, it's very hard to control your gestures, your face, and the voice is a product of emotion plus movement. So if you want to have like a nice, steady, grounded, energized voice, the first thing to do is to be in touch with your body. And the breath is an essential part of that. So that would be my number one recommendation.
Fantastic. All right. I'm thrilled we did this. Thanks so much for watching these, listening to these. Let's do this again sometime.
Awesome.
All right. Thanks for listening to The Speaker Path. We'll speak soon. Hey, Brian from the future. If you are listening to this on the audio-only version, you're going to want to click over to YouTube to watch Jo react to the performances and see if there's anything that changes. Spoiler alert, sometimes there is, when she does. You can find the link to the YouTube video in the show notes.